Good evening and welcome to the Indie Voice Show, where artists can listen, learn, and grow with knowledge empowering success. And now, here is your host, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, Miss Wendy Hicks.
Family, thank you so much for joining us. We are here each and every Saturday at 5 o'clock, and we aim to bring you interviews and live performances, anything that will help keep you educated, informed, what you need to do. Like, for some of you have projects that you're working on and want to know what happens after those projects. Some of you want to get started but don't know how to get started. So we kind of try to bring you information and resources to get you on your way. We also want to empower you with information because, knowledge is power. And once you feel that you are equipped, then you are, well on your way. My special guest and co-host is Mr. Michael Muse. Thank you so much.
Wendy. Hello.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited that you're here.
Glad to be here.
Yes, and I thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
Yes.
We've got a lot. I've got like a gazillion questions, and we're gonna try to get through as many as we can. Can you post the phone number on the Listen Vision on the website? So first, we're gonna start with our Artist Quick Tip. Oh, and hello, Minnie. I know you're watching. My girl from South Carolina. So the Artist Quick Tip, I thought that it would be interesting to talk about one of the articles that talks about music conferences, and in line with what our message is, one of our messages today in terms of being prepared. When opportunity knocks, you have to be ready. And part of being ready, not just making sure if you're a singer that your vocals are on point, and making sure that you do your vocal exercises daily, involved, educated, and understanding the music business. And part of that is going to workshops. I actually, and this came just in time because I'm going to the ASCAP workshop in a few weeks in LA, so I'm excited about that. But there were some things that I found in this article that I didn't know. So the article is taken from the Indie Bible. I am an affiliate of the Indie Bible, and again, it's a wealth of information. Some promoters in the area, if you're looking to find people that can blog, talk about your project. Those are just some of the things. And what I like to utilize it for is to bring the Artist Quick Tips segment every week. So today's article is titled Untangling the Maze of Music Conferences. And the article is by Bill Peer from Connecticut Songwriters Association. So he says that one of the things, he often finds is that people have questions. And one of the lingering questions is, do I belong here? Is this the right place for me? And how do I get the most from this? So to help you decide what events to attend, it's important to understand what the name of the event tells you. And this is key because I didn't know. An event where a bunch of people get together or convene for a purpose is called a convention. There are 3 main types of conventions, and it's important to know the distinctions. So when people come together with the primary purpose of learning and sharing knowledge, it's a conference in the true sense of the word. So again, they have a lineup of workshops, and it's basic, and they have a schedule of, who's going to be speaking where, and it's very detailed and by topic. So it says folks are there to confer. Workshops, panels, mentoring, and critiquing are front and center. Education is the event driver. Now, this will be the case at events, and they list a few conferences. One is the Independent Music Conference, and that's the indiemusiccon.com, which is geared mostly toward education. And I'm not going to read the whole article, and I'll post it on my Indie Voice fan page. But so then it goes on to say, then you have the festivals. The jazz festivals, and the main purpose of the jazz festival is to be entertained. You're going to see a bunch of artists that are scheduled to attend, so it's not a learning or educational conference. It's more to be entertained. It says the industry professionals there are frequently venue operators, booking agents, or artist development folks, and even the educational workshops are slanted towards aspects of the performance if they choose to have some. And the festivals that I've been to, I've never seen that. And then it says when people congregate around a theme of business, products, and commerce, it's an explosion or expo where vendors and their goods and services are the main attraction, and we've seen those as well. So some key things that you should look for when you're trying to decide which conference or event that you are interested in attending. It says here, make sure that you know what your primary purpose is in attending a convention. And if you want primarily to learn, to perform, or to find products or services, then you act accordingly. Make sure you do your due diligence in reading up. How long has this conference been in existence? Because sometimes, of course, if they've been doing these for a long time, then they're pretty well organized, and you'll learn a lot. Now, the caveat to that is a lot of the conferences that have been going on for years, they have a major following. And so your opportunities to really speak to the people that are facilitating, or the workshops, you might not have so much of an opportunity to meet with them, but still, again, you have to strategize before you decide to go. And that's the bottom line. Just make sure you understand what your goal is. Now, one other thing that was mentioned at the end of the article, and I'll close this out, the importance of being prepared. Not only do you need to do your homework and understand, what it is that you want to get out of this conference, it says, where was it? That you need to, it's important to, where was it? Talked about the lyric sheets, how important it is to have. If you want people to critique your music, make sure you have a music sheet, which is professional. Make sure that if you have a CD that you're handing out, make sure that all the songs are labeled. Make sure that the information that's provided is up to date and accurate. Make sure that your website is a true representation of your professionalism, because if they see that you're not professional, they have people contacting them all the time, and they're really going to kind of wean you out. Make sure there are no misspellings on your package. So there are a lot of things that you need to do to be prepared before you go. But I thought that, again, this was very interesting. And it's very helpful. So there are some things that I need to do myself to prepare before I go to the ASCAP conference. But again, have you ever attended? Do you go?
I have never attended a conference. Been to a lot of auditions.
Right.
No conferences.
Well, I know somewhere in the very near future, I've been talking about this for a while, but I did a workshop, the Business 101, and just to kind of give the basics on starting a business and why it's important as an independent artist to start a business. And I know that I'll definitely be inviting you to come out and speak, because you have firsthand knowledge of, in terms of the touring and, and before that, even the things that you need to do to prepare in advance, to be ready. Yeah. Because you've been doing this thing here for a long time.
Long time.
Okay, we're going to show a quick video. When we come back, we're going to learn more about Michael Muse, and then we're going to get right into the questions, because I have several here, and I want to get through as many as I can. I want to pick your brain.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll be right back. Again, we have here Mr. Michael Muse, independent artist, singer, songwriter, and lead singer of the Stylistics. Yes.
Yes.
So,
yes.
A man who wears many hats.
Yes. That too.
So I just want to do a quick bio read. I won't read everything, just some of the highlights.
Sure.
And then we'll get right into the questions. I do want to add this first part because I think it's pretty cool. In an era of declining songwriting skills and auto-tune crooning, Michael Muse embodies the best traditions of R&B soul music as a vocalist, songwriter, and producer. And we're going to talk about that a little later. His velvet voice is unique and mesmerizing, captivating audiences across the nation. And those of you that are watching the videos, you can definitely see an example of that. It was inevitable that Michael's talent would capture the world since his gift was discovered at the age of 5, and since he is the son of the legendary New York jazz musician Chuck Henley. Michael is a native Washingtonian, and his professional career started as lead vocalist for Rare Essence at the ripe age of 16, and where you penned their second single release, Back Up Against the Wall, in '83. He is known in the DC music community as the most prolific vocalist in go-go history, paving the way for most vocalists in go-go today. Who would have thought back then that go-go would be what it is today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Muse studied under the direction of Dr. Leroy Dorsey, who taught Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack at the historical Howard University. All right, right across the street,
Right across the
y'all.
street, I'm home.
Yeah. It says thousands are entranced by Michael's superb falsetto and natural smooth tenor that makes him a true extraordinaire balladeer. And we talk in your bio. It talks about some of the folks that you've worked with, some of DC's finest.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out! I know Mark Foster.
Yes, my man Diallo.
I know. Yes, and then I'm getting ready to. So we have Keith Busey, bassist and former music director for the Stylistics. Larnell Carr, percussionist. Was it Jacques Johnson? Mm-hmm. Now I'm getting ready to mess myself up. Brother of the talented Michelle
Indegecello.
Yes, thank you.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right.
On guitar and musical arrangements. They're on a mission as a band to flood the airways with a unique, smooth sound with a slight touch of homegrown Washington, D.C. sound infused in the mix. So again, we're going to be listening to some of the songs off of your latest CD, and definitely get a chance to talk about that. So again, welcome, and here he is. You probably like, finally I get to speak. She's been rattling for about 18 minutes.
Set it up. There you go.
Oh gosh, okay, so let's get started. Now in the bio it says you come from a musical background, and your father was a New York jazz musician.
Yes.
So you grew up with a different kind of music. How did you begin your career with Rare Essence?
Well, with my father, the talent was just passed down because honestly, I didn't know my father until I was about 40 years old. I just knew he was a musician in New York. We've seen each other. I can count on both my hands the number of times I've actually seen him person to person. We really didn't develop a relationship till after I was 40 years old. And then he passed away 2011. But the music, really, I would accredit my mother to it because she was just a music fanatic and she raised me with all that great 70s soul music. I mean, she had the album covers on the wall along with the Zodiac posters. I mean, things from Marvin Gaye to Donny Hathaway, O.C. Smith, The Fifth Dimension. I mean, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and of course, Delphonics, Stylistics, and Blue Magic.
Yes.
My very first cassette tape at 8 years old with my Panasonic tape recorder was the Blue Magic's Greatest Hits. I learned that whole CD and sang it verbatim within a month.
So that was your early influence.
Yes.
Now, were you familiar with go-go before you started singing with Rare Essence? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
At my preteens, 12, 13, 14, we would go see groups that came and did the block parties. I grew up in Southeast, so that whole Congress Heights, Alabama Avenue, Stanton Road area, my man. You know, they would have block parties in the backyards and in the elementary school playgrounds. And my favorite band at that time was a group called Mass Extinction. They're known as the West Mob now. And boy, I tell you, I just couldn't wait to see them. And you know, it's funny that I ended up with Rare Essence because they never really moved me like that. I was a Mass Extinction and EU Sugar Bear fan. And that's about the only two bands I would go see.
So how did you start singing with Rare Essence?
Well, with Rare Essence, it was kind of, you know, I'm not going to say coincidence, but I wasn't looking to do it. I had started going to Dunbar Senior High School, just leaving an all-boys school, Bishop McNamara. And when I got to Dunbar, I saw all these beautiful young teenage girls, and I had to figure out a way that I could get some attention.
Right.
Because I didn't have any money. I was a broke Southeast kid going to a Northwest school where the guys dressed fly, they had money in their pockets. So once the talent show came, I knew, you know, that I could sing. So I auditioned for the talent show, did it, and it just so happens my aunt was there. She didn't even know I could sing. And ironically, she worked at Briggs Bank with the bass players from Rare Essence's brother. She told him about me, and he was like, well, God, they're looking for a new singer because they had just released the former singer they had. So between my aunt and the bass player's brother, they set up the audition. I was just 16 years old at the time. It was the summer of '82. I sang a Peabo Bryson song called I Am Love. And by the time I hit the last note, the manager and I think the guitar player were there, and they was like, when can you start? So it was a one-take thing, yeah.
Wow,
So
and how long were you with them?
I was only with them for 3 years, actually. The first go-round, and then I went, Little Benny and the Masters started in '86, and I joined his band, did a year with him. Then I had to join the military from '86 to '90. Got back with Rare Essence in '90 and was gone again in '91.
Okay.
So a total of 4 years, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then what led you, because I in researching and watching the videos on YouTube, I know you were doing some tribute shows, some things on your own. Right. So how was it that you managed to even, I mean, you were with Rare Essence or doing Go-Go for about 4 years. So how was that transition for you to move from Go-Go to what was near and dear to your heart?
Well, after Rare Essence, of course, there were a number of bands that I continued with. Probably the group Proper Utensils, I spent more time with them than any band, which was basically a spinoff from Rare Essence. But at the age of 49, I just got tired of it. I mean, the traditional setting for a singer in Go-Go for the traditional bands, a singer would get 2 songs, and then you shake a tambourine for the rest of the night. Yeah. As a 49-year-old man, I just felt stupid. Yeah. You know, so I stepped out on faith and said I'm gonna start doing these R&B shows. Put together a CD. A lot of those songs had been sitting on the shelf for since 1999. Me and a friend of mine named Christopher Harden wrote 2 of them. And he lived right around the corner, actually. He went to Dunbar with me. So I said, let's take these songs, add a few cover tunes. The title song, The Love of You, I put a go-go beat to it. It was a song that O'Brien had written that he never released. Okay. So once I got permission from his management to release it, we released it. But that's how the CD came about. And I just, so many doors have opened in the past 3 years, even before the Stylistics. I got a chance to sing with Norman Connors as the male vocalist, Starship, the whole 9. Done 2 or 3 shows with Gene Carn, opened up for the Emotions, and all of this happened within a 3-year period, whereas I spent 32 odd years in Go-Go just going home with $100 a night. Right.
So it was a slow progression, but a slow progression towards what was ultimately your destiny in terms of hooking up with Stylistics.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay. And I've been watching interviews, and I know you get asked this question time and time again. It never gets old, though, right?
No, it never gets old. All of this, I'm still trying to soak it all in. Honestly, I'm waiting to wake up. You know?
Oh, so how did that come about with Stylistics?
From what they tell me, we did a show. Keith Showtime Busey, that's my bass player, who was actually the former music director from the Stylistics. He was my music director once I decided to go solo. All my shows, him and his band, the Unit Band, would play for me, as well as other people around the city. But he told me years ago, he said, man, you need to step out on your own. And following his advice, that's what happened. But we did a tribute show to the Delphonics, Stylistics, and Blue Magic at the Howard Theater back in 2016, along with a girls group, Shades of Soul, who did a tribute to the Emotions. Just so happens, this thing called YouTube, you can be seen all around the world.
People always watch it.
They always watch it.
Yes.
And I put those videos up from that show, and maybe about 2 months after the show, a gentleman by the name of Johnny Johnson called me. He's a former singer for the Stylistics. Not the Stylistics, sorry, the Delphonics. He just happens to be local. And he was like, Mike, I like what you're doing, man. Let's, I got some ideas. Let's work together, put together something. So we kind of kept in touch off and on. And then 2 whole years had gone by, and he calls me one day and he said, Mike, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I got something big for you. He said the Stylistics need a new lead singer. Eban Brown, who's a former lead singer, had decided to go solo. And, they knew he was leaving around January this year. So Johnny was like, you need to be ready because once they talk to you, you're going to have all this stuff in order, passport. So he hooked me up with the manager and one of the original members, Herb Morrell, and the first thing they asked me was, do you have a passport? unbeknownst to me, they had been watching me for over a year on YouTube. So they were pretty much sold with what they saw. They just wanted to hear me sing in person, so they invited me up to Philly on a Wednesday, and I sang. And I thought I sounded great coming out of the air, but when they played it back on tape, it's like, oh my God, it sounds horrible. You know, when you hear yourself over some finished, polished music and your vocals aren't, edited, it doesn't match.
Right.
So needless to say, I went home, and my thing was I thought I was going to go up there and have their jaws drop to the floor just like the Rare Essence. But I neglected to realize these guys have been doing this for 50 years. This is their stuff.
Right.
And they perform with the greatest falsetto tenor ever, Russell Tompkins. I'm not going to impress them too easily, So a day went past, didn't hear from him, and the very next day, Herb Morrell called me and he said, Mike, I meant to call you yesterday, but I wanted to say welcome aboard. And I fell out of my chair. Because I was so down in the dumps that day before, I was like, I'll never sing another stylistic song. My life is over. You don't get but one chance with this. And God worked it out.
Oh, it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: as you're talking, I'm thinking. We often talk about people that are not only fearful of failure, but fearful of success. So did that ever, once the reality hit you that, oh my God, now I'm really about to be the lead singer for the Stylistics? Did you did your mind start to play tricks with you, or did you become nervous, or?
Well, doubt set in.
Right.
Because again, the way their stage show is set, the lead singer's singing everything. There's no breaks. Russell Tompkins led 99.9% of those songs. And in go-go, again, a singer would sing maybe 2 or 3 songs, and that's it. So I'm like, can I sing that much? That was the first thing that I had in mind. But I said to myself, God wouldn't have given me this opportunity if I couldn't have it. And that's what kind of put everything back in its proper perspective, and we just went out and nailed it. The first 5 shows were great.
You had to learn. Well, since you're the lead singer, there are some dance moves. Because again, I've been doing my research, so you don't have to do as much, but you still got to be ready to step in.
Yeah, you got to be able to fall in and look smooth with it. That's a work in progress.
Well, you're doing very, very well.
Thank you.
Very well. So again, let's go back and talk about the importance of being prepared. So again, leading up to your opportunity with the Stylistics, you performed multiple times or many years with Rare Essence. Then you went off and you did some of your own self-promoted events. What else would you recommend in terms of the viewing audience that are watching, or artists that are watching? What would you say would be some of the things that you can offer in terms of being prepared and ready for that opportunity when it comes?
Well, singers, and I always stress this when I talk to my daughter sings, health is the number one thing. Because as vocalists, you are your instrument. And I've noticed over the years, even though I know that I can sing and nail songs, I would only sound as good as I feel. Whereas if you're a keyboard player, you can sit up there with the flu and sound just as good as you would if you're feeling great.
Right.
Singers, that instrument is human. Eating right, staying in shape, and for me being over 50, I'm just now realizing that we got to cut some of this off. But, at least I'm aware of it, and we're making progress on that. But for singers, the number one thing is health. Try not to smoke, and definitely alcohol. Alcohol will tear your voice up.
Yes.
So.
I used to take a sip of the liquid courage before going on, and especially as you get older. Now you have a false sense of, I'm the best when I had a little shot. I sound good.
Right.
But yes, when you after 40, that is just dries your vocal cords out.
It dries you right out.
And you just start, cracking all kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the first performance with the Stylistics.
Okay.
What was that like for you?
Wow. You know what? I think it's more of a mental thing. Somebody told me once I was a hypochondriac. Because I always think something's wrong with me, So, of course, being in February, the worst thing for someone that sings high tenor is to have a cold. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, do I have a slight cold? Do I, don't I? I did have a slight cold, but I was like, again, God did not put me in this position for me to fail. And that's all I continued to hold on to. And honestly, there were not any butterflies at all. I mean, when I stepped out on that stage, it was just like work again, just with a different group. Mm-hmm. And I was so well received by the people here at home. You know, it made everything a lot easier than it would have been somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was magical.
Yes, and that performance that at Constitution Hall, it was like right around Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Ooh, was that euphoric?
Yeah, because I'm somewhat of a dying breed, the last of a dying breed of romantics. I still believe in fairy tales and love at first sight, and love everlasting. Right. Even though I've had my heart broke about 3 or 4 times, I still believe in it.
Right.
So Valentine's Day is special in that sense that I actually get to feed people that spiritual part of love. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's great.
Man, and now when we first met, I started interviewing you. The first few seconds, probably. But again, I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like to, you know, to grow up listening to a group as legendary as the Stylistics, and here you are years later, and you're actually performing with them, and not only performing with them, making money and touring with them. So I just can't even imagine what that feeling must be like. I mean, are you still like in shock? Are you still high off of that?
Well, you know what? I tell people
I'm excited for you.
The money thing, that's a work in progress. You know, I'm certainly not making now what I would be making in 5 years. You got to put some work in with the group.
Right.
And I tell a running joke, when I can go to the grocery store and buy $800 worth of groceries and not worry about it, that's when I know I've made it. You know? But I mean, you know, again, life is better now than it was in December of last year, which was just a few months ago. God can turn things around so quickly.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going on with me.
Okay, and let's take a quick commercial break. And I'm drilling. I'm going in. We still have quite a few more questions to ask. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and come right back. we're back. Hello, hello, hello. Took a quick pause for the cause. All right. Now, again, in watching, let me first go back. We have a lot of friends, a lot of mutual friends on Facebook, and I'm really surprised that up until the moment that I discovered you was right when you were taking a walk and you were kind of reflecting on Facebook Live and talking about how you felt about it and how you were grateful for the opportunity. And then I saw videos of your performance, and one of the things that struck me in looking at the videos was your flair. Like, you add something to the group. And I can't really say exactly what it is, but it's just a feeling that I get. There's just it's a flair. So what I want to know is there anything, or what would you like to contribute to the stylistics at the end of the day?
Freshness, I guess. I'll be 52 this year, and I think even in that age range, I'm in a small group of people in their 50s that may even still like that music. Folks have always described me as having an old soul. Most people in their 50s, they'll start from the 90s on up liking music, or the 80s on up. What I would love to do to seal my legacy, actually, is write another hit song for the Stylistics. They have not had a hit here in the States since, I want to say 1981, Hurry Up This Way Again. So if I could do that, that would stamp my legacy with the Stylistics as well in music, to have written a hit song for a legendary group.
Are they open to that? You talked to them about that?
That was my first thing on my agenda when I had time to sit down and talk to one of the original members, and he was all for it.
Nice. So
that's coming. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
We can't wait to hear that. That would be awesome. And again, because it's important that, especially with the generation of artists that are up and coming, music has definitely changed. The message in the music has changed. The way music makes you feel when you hear it has changed. Those memories that music used to bring to you, like those special times, that's kind of faded away. So it would really be awesome to blend the old with the new and to be able to merge the generations.
Absolutely.
So so we definitely keep us posted on that.
Oh yeah,
I look forward to that.
Yes, hopefully sooner than later.
Right.
My brother needs some money.
For your project, the Love of You, did you write songs on that project?
I did. I wrote. There's a song called "The One for Me" that I wrote, and what is the other one? "Dry Your Eyes," and they were loosely based on a relationship that ended. So there's a lot of personability in there, straight from the heart, life's experience stuff dealing with it. So myself, I wrote the lyrics, and a friend of mine, Christopher Harden, did the music. Because I don't play anything.
Okay. Yeah. Don't feel bad. I don't either. But I tell you, your music, your voice speaks for itself. So it more than compensates for that.
Thank you.
Let's go back. So you mentioned in your bio that we're in a time of declining songwriting skills. What is missing from today's songs?
Thought.
That's good.
Thought. I mean, just simply putting thought into it. I mean, from the spirit thought. My thing is, music is a spiritual thing. And I'm not saying spiritual in the sense of being religious.
Right.
But with us being spirit beings, if you have a gift musically, your gift flows to other people's spirits. If there's no thought or life experience put into what you're writing, even if you're just playing an instrument, if you're really not feeling it yourself,
right,
your audience is not going to feel it. And I think what the people in charge of this industry now, it's just like, I call it mech music, microwave music. And they're feeding the masses a bunch of stuff, It's mind poison, a lot of it. Now there are some talented and good stuff out there, but it's just a shame that that's not the stuff that's being pushed.
Right.
You have to search for that stuff.
Right. So what is your songwriting process?
My songwriting process is I'll ask a producer or a keyboard player to finish a track for me. Completely finish it, just the way he wants it. I'll sit and listen to it in the dark. Whatever mood it puts me in, that's what I base the title on.
Me too.
And then once I get that title, I write around the title.
That's a lot. I thought I was, it's funny how you think something and you think you're the only one that thinks that, but it's so true. Like I think of, or I hear the music and I let the music take me where it's going to take me.
Right.
And it just kind of comes.
Yep. Tap into that source.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I remember I had the opportunity to meet Smokey Robinson many years ago, and I asked him, like, pretty much, well, how do you write these songs that stand the test of time? And he was like, you're waiting for this, this knowledge to be passed down, like, and he's like, just write. I'm like, what? Yeah. That's it? He's like, just write.
Yeah. And one thing I find, I'm a person that I like to communicate in complete sentences. Start to finish, I don't give half thoughts when I'm talking.
Right.
And I notice a lot of songs now, they're not complete sentences. And the way you come across will help people understand better too. And it'll make it easier for your song to touch them if you give them a complete thought.
It's about connecting. And speaking of connecting, when you're performing, do you look out and just kind of gauge who you're actually connecting with?
Oh, that's my thing. I've always been known to center a few choice females primarily, and make each and every one of them think that I'm singing to them, right to them. But I have to share that time equally. And I've learned to do that pretty effectively over the years.
You had the panties thrown up on the stage yet?
Long ago, back in the old teenage Washington Coliseum days. Long ago.
Oh. Okay, so how do you balance between your indie solo career and the Stylistics?
Well, honestly, right now, since the Stylistics is such a fresh venture, that's actually yet to be seen, to be honest with you. I do have a few things in mind still, because the first thing they told me when I got in the group, I'm not under any type of contractual agreement with them that I can't do other things on my own. The only thing they hold me to is not to jump on stage with everybody else and sing, here, there, and spots and everything. Even if it's just my stuff, it has to be kind of like a big show.
Okay.
They want to keep their brand important,
right?
Basically. And if the lead singer for the Stylistics is popping up here, there, and everywhere,
right,
that diminishes their brand.
Right.
So, right now, I do have some plans. I'd love to do a big show either at Bethesda or the Birchmere. And I have one particularly in mind. I want to call it Jazz Meets Soul, and I want to do a show with Brian Lanier.
Nice.
And I think that would be a good package.
Shout out to Brian Lanier.
Yeah. I haven't even told him yet. Maybe he'll hear about it first.
You heard it here first on Indie Voice. See that?
Yeah, because him and I worked briefly on some things. Wow. Wasn't expecting that. We worked together down at the 21st Amendment Bar and Grill. I've done a few spots with him down there. Awesome talent. And I would love to do an entire big show with him. So we're going to make it happen.
Oh, well, please keep us posted.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, we know that life throws us some heavy stuff sometimes. It's not always, the highs and, roses. And I know that there are some things that you have faced, some tragedies that you have faced in your life, and we don't necessarily have to get into that now, but we all experience something. Yes. And so for you personally, how have you overcome the obstacles that you faced?
Well, I attribute it to two things. Grandma's prayers. My grandmother was a Pentecostal evangelist, and her and my mother basically split the time raising me. And I was like 2, 3 years old. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and she would be standing over me praying and anointing my head with oil. I mean, that good old-time religion stuff. You know, speaking in tongues. I didn't know what it was about then. But now with the things that I've gone through in life and growing up fatherless, you know, watching my mother struggle, and then I had a little sister, I had no brothers. So needless to say, truth be told, little light-skinned boy growing up in Southeast with no brothers, you're going to have to fight. You know, you have to fight or run. You have to pick your battles because you are a target.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So with that, you know, and not going to get into all the things, self-destructive things that I've been through on my own, with my own demons. Everybody has some type of demons.
Yes.
Between that, growing up the way I did, you know, that prepared me for this, you know, to have the strength to deal with my issues now, you know, where some people who may not have ever gone through anything wouldn't be able to handle what I'm going through now. So it all comes full circle and starts to make sense after a while.
So is it safe to assume too that music was a major part of that healing?
Oh,
or,
yeah. That's music is my refuge.
Okay. And along the same lines, let's talk about sacrifices. Have you made sacrifices to get to this point in your career?
Yes, I sacrifices, but kind of like in reverse. And when I say that, a lot of people will jump feet first into the music thing and forget about everything else. Whereas I did it in reverse. Once my children were born, they were first. I took time to be a father first. And if music came, it came. I didn't put everything I had into it, dedicate time, money, and everything. I had 3 mouths to feed, you know, and then I even tried being a husband for a while. It wasn't the best try, but I did try.
Right.
So this thing called life kind of swallowed up my time. And then one day I woke up and I was 50 years old. And it just happened so fast.
Right.
But, you know, if you try to live and be a good person, in the end, you know, God's going to bless you. And I think that's what happened with me.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we talk about a lot here on the show is that you're never too old, especially with this thing called independent artistry.
Yes.
You're never too old, and it's never too late.
Right.
And because I'm in that 50 plus range as well, and each day I'm always reminded that there are no mistakes and things happen for a reason, and that you don't have to make not so much excuses, but you don't have to feel bad or feel like something was lost because you didn't jump right into music and follow some of the things that you could have followed, because I'm sure opportunities presented themselves before.
Oh yeah.
Now, right?
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it wasn't the right opportunity. It wasn't the right time.
Yeah, I rubbed elbows with, just for instance, when I was with Red Essence, they actually had a deal with Uptown MCA, division of Motown. And they had cats from New York come down writing songs for us. Prince Marky D from the Fat Boys. You know, quite a Herbie Lovebug, Salt and Pepper's producer. You know, I was right in the thick of it, and for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
Right. And sometimes we might not even know what was on the other side while we were protected. Like your grandma's prayers were being answered because it probably protected you from something that you needed to be shielded and protected from. So yeah, I mean, I'm learning that you know, because I used to beat myself up because I too, you know, chose to, you know, feed my kids and, you know, being a single parent. So there were sacrifices that I made, but if I could do it over, I wouldn't change a thing.
Right.
I wouldn't change a thing. Now so as far as advice to the next generation of artists, what would be like, let's say one thing that you would advise to our next generation?
Okay, and when it comes to that, I'm always selfish because I'm a singer. I talk to my singers first.
Yes.
And one thing I tell singers, especially in go-go, young singers, don't get satisfied with just being recognized at the mall. don't get satisfied with just knowing that your band is popping right now. If you're a singer, don't let go-go keep you in a cage.
Right.
Take it from me. I was satisfied with those 2 songs a night for over 30 years. And then again, like I said before, I woke up one day and I was 49, 50 years old. It happens that fast. You can still do go-go. You can still be in a band. But you have to realize in today's music, especially for black artists, there's no record label that's going to sign a 10-piece band. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You know, it's hard enough to get signed as a solo artist, much less a band. That died in the late 70s, early 80s. Lakeside was probably the last big band. Spread your wings. Don't be afraid to do things outside of what everybody else perceives to be cool.
Right.
And that's one thing my stick to it is even when I went solo and I was doing my local shows, even some of my band members, Mike, you need to bring your set up to date. You need to sing more of what's on the radio. I'm like, I'm not feeling what's on the radio. And I don't even listen to the radio. So I don't even know what's on the radio. That's what the people want to hear. That's what the people want to hear. Well, I can sing an old song, and if I'm feeling it, even if you haven't heard it before, you're going to feel it.
Right. And
that's going to be more special to you than hearing the song that they're playing in rotation on the local station.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your CD, where can folks find a copy of The Love of You?
Well, unfortunately, there are no record stores anymore.
Right.
I keep a stockpile at home, and my man Kenny Westray at We Are One Clothing Store in Suitland, he has copies there. You can check him out and pick up some clothes while you're there too. Inbox me if you want a hard copy, and we will make that happen. I will send it to you right in the mail. I'm running my own business from my house. If you're into downloading, you can go to any digital media outlet, iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, Spotify. Download it. Don't stream it. Download it.
Yes. Yes.
You download it, it's yours. You can keep it. You know.
And tell people real quick how they can stay connected to you.
Stay connected to me on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, Michael Muse. Instagram, Macho Time X. That is my Instagram. I'm a Hector Camacho fan, so it's always Macho Time at my house.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show, and promise you'll come back and
absolutely
and keep us abreast of what's going on with your career.
Yeah, maybe next time I will have hit that $800 grocery mark.
And next time maybe we'll be able to get like a little teeny piece of the song.
We'll see.
A little teeny piece. So our Set Your Mind, Set Your Week quote for today is, the secret to success is to be ready when opportunity comes by. And the fan the flame for that, my takeaway is, again, make sure that you're prepared by making sure that you stay up to date with your craft. As far as a vocalist, make sure you do your vocal exercises. Networking is important. Eat right.
No
Education
smoking.
is important. No
alcohol.
smoking. No drugs and alcohol. Look, my aunt say, what'd you say?
That's right.
No
there
alcohol. Pray, lots of prayer. And just trust your instincts.
Yes.
Right? So again, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. Come back again. We're here Saturdays at 5, listenvisionlive.com. Appreciate you much. Do we have time to just exit without doing our Uncle Charlie? Can we exit with the medley, the Stylistics medley? Yes. Okay. So again, thank you guys for watching. Love you.